Alright, so this is going to be a high round strategy on the map called the Dead. This strategy is designed to get you to at least round 50. It's not really designed to get you to any further than that because the wonder weapon that you use on this map, the scavenger, is not particularly good on the high rounds, and you're going to end up needing PhD flopper to flop off stairs to kill zombies, and you'll also have to do some box trades mid-round. So it's not really the strategy to get you that far. It's just to get you to 50 because the scavenger does actually have enough ammo to get you all the way to 50 and just a little bit beyond that. Okay, so for the first round you can just use a pistol and knife to get you through the entire round. Then on second round I'll usually just buy the M14 and then just rack up as many points as I can. You can hold off in the first room until about round 4 or 5 realistically. It is better to actually stay in the first room for as long as you can rather than moving out early because the rounds, you'll be able to get points a lot faster, and then you can just get completely set up once you have the amount of points that you want. And by round 4 or 5 you should have about 8 to 9,000. So I'm skipping over to round 3 here. What I always do is just do 2 body shots and then knife, because since it's on round 3, on round 4 you're going to do 3 body shots and then knife. You can also go for headshots as well, like right here. There's a bunch of zombies like right in front of me. Sometimes going for knife kills is kind of risky, especially because on Black Ops 1 you're dealing with the 2-slap death when you don't have juggernog. Another thing to talk about on the early rounds is George. You really want to try to avoid letting George hit you by any means, because getting attacked by George is basically like getting hit from a zombie, and when he gets aggroed it basically stuns you and it slows you down and you have very little control over your movement for quite some time. So if in that moment if you get some zombies around you, you're probably going to go down. I've actually had a few failed attempts just from that silly reason. So don't let that happen to you. Keep George away from you. George is going to be a lot more useful in the higher rounds for getting perks and drops, but for now just keep a safe distance from him at all times, and then we'll talk more about him later. So on round 6 is when I finally decide to leave the first room. What I do is I buy the MPL off the wall, and that's what I use to get points, but a lot of people prefer to use the MP40 because it has more ammo. It's all really personal preference. I usually just go with the MPL because it's closer to the spawn, and once I get the power on and get juggernog, I usually hang out at the spawn for a little while until I get more points to go off to the other side of the map towards the lighthouse, where PhD flopper and in my cases were the boxes as well. So round 6 is when I finally get the power on. Once I get the power on, I make my way over to the back of the ship, and that's where juggernog is. You just have to run this route that I take here. Go through this door. You can go down that staircase on the right there if you want, but you have to open up more doors to get juggernog that way, so I would recommend going this way. I get Semtexes here as well. I'll explain why I get them later on in the game, but for now you just want to get juggernog. Then you can make your way back over to spawn, or if you decided to get the MP40, you can also just stay here for a few extra rounds to get even more points. So round 7 is when I get quick revive, and now I'm back at the spawn point and I'm just getting more points now before I continue on through the route on the other side of the map right in front of me here. The flash just went off in the sky, which means Pack-a-Punch is about to be deployed, but I'm in no rush to get it because I know I don't have enough points for it anyways. But you do want to keep an eye out for it. In my case, it was down at the bottom of the lighthouse, like where stamina up is, which means I have to open up quite a few doors to get to it. So I don't end up getting it right away, but if it ends up spawning in the spawn area, you can Pack-a-Punch your M1911 right away. You want to be careful though, because if you don't have PhD flopper already, like I don't right here, then you can kill yourself with Mustang and Sally. It's really good for getting yourself out of trap situations on the early rounds. Up until about round 30 is when it starts to drop off. So skipping another round ahead, this is on round 8. I get PhD flopper. I open up the door that leads towards the training spot. This training spot that I'm showing here in just a second is right outside the lighthouse. This is the best spot for you to be on the entire map. There's a lot of wide open space here. Another great thing about this spot is that there's water nearby, so if you aggro George like I did right here, you can just bring him over here and he'll get out of berserk mode. Very helpful. especially when he's like, you're kind of dealing with him mid-round. And here I accidentally shoot him again, so I have to bring him back to the water, but I think you get the gist of it. So round 10 I finally get Mustang and Sally, so this is going to be helpful if I get in a trap situation on the early rounds. And all I really need to do at this point is save up more points and then start spinning up the box to try to get the wonder weapons I want. At this point you can basically stay at the same spot I just showed you at your training spot, and you can either hit the box like right now, or you can buy the AK-74U off the wall, which is what I end up doing, and I stay there until about round 13. By round 13, you should have about 20 to 30,000 points if you haven't spinned up the box at all, and that would be a good time to start spinning it up. You saw right there I actually just bought Mule Kick. The reason why I do that is because, so the scavenger is really effective for taking out George, for getting extra perks, but what's even better than doing that is using a combination of the scavenger and the ray gun. And the reason why I do that is because it takes 24 shots with the scavenger in order to kill George. And you're going to be a lot better off saving ammo on your scavenger, because that's like your main wonder weapon, if you just use your ray gun along with it. And I'll show you a basic strategy that I do in order to kill him mid-round, because it can be a bit tricky and you can go down if you're not careful. But with a little bit of practice you can get it down. So right here I skip ahead to where I get the scavenger and the ray gun from the box. What I recommend you do is put the scavenger in your second slot and the ray gun in your third slot. And what that's going to do is, in this scenario where you go down mid-round like I did on round 43, you can at least get through the rest of the round with your scavenger, and then at the end of the round you save a crawler and then you just spin up the box until you get the ray gun back. So this clip right here is going to demonstrate how to kill George mid-round. So I'm demonstrating this on round 37, and at this point it's a 2-shot kill to kill the zombies. So what you do is run in a bit of a circle, keep George like kind of close to the water, and then shoot as many scavenger shots as you need to kill the zombies. And then he's going to get aggroed and he'll also be damaged from your scavenger shots. And then as he's running back to the water, you can just shoot him with the ray gun to soften him up even more. And you basically just keep repeating this process until he goes down. So it ended up taking me about 5 minutes to kill him, but it does get the job done after a while. Keep in mind that George's health is equivalent of a zombie's health on round 68. So it is going to take a little bit of time, but you will get the job done eventually. Once you kill George, he's going to spawn a perk drop, so you'll be able to get an extra perk if you don't have all 8 perks already. And you're also going to get a Wonderwaffe drop. The Wonderwaffe drop is going to make high rounds a lot easier on this map, because once you get the Wonderwaffe, it has 18 shots in total, which means it can kill 180 zombies. Which means you're going to be able to clear out an entire round, all the way up until round 42. So, and George spawns every other round. So in theory that means you're able to get through an entire round completely free without using any of your ammo in your scavenger or ray gun up until round 42. And even past that, it's still going to get you through most of the round anyways, so there's always a reason to take the Wonderwaffe every chance you get, because it's really going to make a difference in the long run. Especially because the scavenger is not an infinite damage wonder weapon, and you're going to need more ammo in the higher rounds, and at the same time you need more ammo, there's also more zombies each round, so naturally you're going to run out of ammo exponentially faster. So this really does help quite a lot to get you to high rounds. So there really isn't much to say about the Wonderwaffe strat. Once you have the Wonderwaffe, all you want to do is run around this area and then get a nice group of zombies horded together. You don't need an entire horde because the Wonderwaffe can only kill 10 zombies per shot. So what that means is all you really need is a half a horde. And then you just shoot one shot, reload, and then rinse and repeat until you run out of ammo. And that's going to get you through an entire round. So the same time you kill George, you're also going to be able to get through the entire round. Up until 42 at least, like I said. Before 42, you're going to be able to finish off part of the zombies in the round following the round that you got George on, which means you're going to have a bit of a break as well for the rounds that you don't have George. So that's going to save you some ammo on your scavenger, but it really isn't going to make much of a difference in the earlier rounds. It's mainly for the higher rounds that it's useful for, because the scavenger gets super weak and you end up needing a lot more ammo in the higher rounds. And unfortunately, there is no better way of dealing with the zombies other than using PhD flopper to kill zombies, but that can be risky, especially because when you're prone and if something goes wrong and you don't, and if it's too high of a round, you can't really use your Mustang and Sallies anymore to take out the horde of zombies. This right here is the early round strategy that I use all the way up until the mid 30s. This strategy is not completely necessary to use because the zombie spawns are very fast, which means the rounds are going to go by fast, but you also can get overwhelmed pretty easily if you're not careful. So if you find this strategy too difficult, you can just train at the lighthouse for the entire game, and that will definitely get you to round 50, but the option is there if you want it. So all you're really going to be doing for the strategy is running in a circle around this part of the ship like I'm doing right here. Another option is to run over to the other side like I did right there, and that will give you a lot more zombie kills because you can because the zombies will run from that window and then the left side and also from up the stairs. So if the path is clear, I would actually recommend running over that way and then just looping the zombies around that railing, and then you can get a bunch more zombie kills that way, so it's going to be a lot more efficient on ammo. So one thing bad about using the scavenger is that you're not going to be able to get any drops out of any of the zombies. And remember, on Call of the Dead there is no boss round, so you're not going to be due for a max ammo every 4 to 5 rounds unless you do something about this. So you have a few different ways of getting a max ammo on this map. One option is to either get George aggroed and then he's gonna slam down his director light, and then once it electrifies the zombies, if you kill the zombies that are electrified, it can give you a max ammo. That's one way of getting a max ammo. Another way of getting a max ammo is to use the Matryoshka dolls. Now, managing your drop cycles when doing the strategy is kind of difficult because you only have 3 Matryoshka dolls, and those are like the only pieces of equipment that you have that are able to kill zombies up until round 50. So what I would recommend you do is hoard up the zombies as much as you can and then throw one. But in the process of doing that, I would recommend having your Mustang and Sallies equipped just in case you get trapped, because it does take a few seconds for it to detonate. The ray gun and Mustang and Sallies also work for getting drops as well. So once you do run out of ammo and you've run out of all Matryoshka dolls, you want to make your way over to this launch pad here, and it will launch you over to the other side of the map. And then you can just start using PhD flopper to flop zombies, if you are completely out of ammo, that is. There really is no better way of dealing with this. The only other way of killing zombies would be to either trade out your scavenger or trade out your ray gun, or both, and then proceed to kill zombies after that. But it really isn't that efficient to be doing trade outs this early on in the game, especially because a scavenger can still one-shot the zombies. So you're better off, and since PhD flopping does work pretty well on the earlier rounds, like on round 30 for example, it's kind of okay to just do this, at least until you get a drop. Once you get an insta-kill, you can use some text grenades or use your Mustang and Sallies. Once you get a max ammo, you can of course return back to the camping strategy you were doing before. Alright, so now moving on to the high round strategy guide. You're going to be running in a figure 8 loop around the lighthouse with the scavenger and the ray gun. For the most part, you are going to be using the scavenger, and the best way to be efficient about your ammo here is to know exactly how many shots it's going to take to kill the horde of zombies on a particular round. So I'm going to leave a legend on the screen to show you exactly how many shots it takes on each round for the scavenger to kill. So something you can also do to get more drops is, because on the higher rounds the scavenger takes more than one shot to kill a horde of zombies, what you can do is, let's say you're on round 35, in which case it will take 2 shots to kill a zombie. You can shoot 1 shot, and then that will allow you to save some ammo on your other guns, and then you can use like Mustang and Sallies or PhD flopper to flop the zombies, and then you'll get drops that way, since the scavenger doesn't actually give you any drops. So despite the fact that the scavenger doesn't give you drops, it does actually kind of help in some way, because it allows you to manage your drop cycles a bit better, because you're not always going to want to get drops from zombies. It's better if you wait until you're running low on ammo and then you can get either an insta-kill, which will give you other drops, or ideally a max ammo as well. Another thing you can do to optimize your drop cycle is to get all the weapons you need for this map before your first teddy bear. And what that's going to do is it's going to prevent you from getting any fire sales. And when you don't get fire sales on this map, it means you also have a greater chance of getting a max ammo. Another thing you can do, but that doesn't really apply here, is to not get quick revive and not turn on the power. And that's also going to remove death machines from the drop cycle. But the problem with doing that is because you have to keep the power off for that, it also means you're not going to be able to have access to Pack-a-Punch. You can get drops from George regardless of the power being on or not. But not having Pack-a-Punch is obviously a bad thing for this map. The last thing I want to talk about in the strategy is recovering from a down. So during my round 50 round, I went down here on round 43. This is my one and only down. And going down kind of puts you in a bad situation because you don't have monkey bombs to save you. The only real weapon you can use to distract the zombies to get your perks back is the crossbow. But if you don't have the crossbow, like I didn't here, then you need to make your way back over to Juggernog without getting double slapped, without a way to distract the zombies. So run this exact pattern that I just took here. It's optional if you want to open up that debris that takes you over here. I did it because it was already pretty late in the game anyway, but if you have a crossbow, you can just distract the zombies and get over here safely. There's no need to rush. What you don't want to do is go out of your way and get mule kick there, because you don't need it right now. You're not going to need mule kick until at least the end of the round when you try to get your third gun back, because it's not necessary. And what's happened to me before when I went back there to get a mule kick is I would just get down because it's too high of a round for Mustang and Sally's to be that effective. So it really doesn't save you at this stage in the game. So just run back to Jug, then run back to Quick Revive, and then you obviously get PhD Flopper. You're going to need that as well. But as long as you've been running through the map, there shouldn't be any zombies in front of you. And then you can just run all the way back here, run through the staircase, down where the top of the lighthouse is, and then you can just continue with the strategy normally. So assuming you set up your weapon class right, the ray gun that you had should be your third gun, which means you're going to lose your ray gun, but you at least get to keep your scavenger. So at the very minimum, you can at least get through the rest of the round, and then once you get to the end of the round, save a zombie, and then you can start spinning up the box again to get your third gun back. Whether that would be the ray gun or the crossbow or whatever third gun you decide to take. I would highly recommend getting your third gun back if you can after you've been downed, if you're still quite a long way away from round 50 or whatever goal you're trying to achieve, because since there's no infinite damage wonder weapons on this map, except for the VR11, you're going to need all the firepower you can get, and that's the importance of having a third gun. Normally, mule kick would be a bad idea to take because it can set you up pretty badly if you decide to lose your third gun, because that's a big investment gone. But on this map, it is helpful because you do want to have all the power guns that you can in order to get to higher rounds. And that's basically going to be it for the video. I ended up getting to round 50 with one down, and then I just quit out of my game. Again, this strategy is only designed for round 50. If you wanted to take this any further, you would have to switch up strategies. You would have to learn how to do the box trade-outs mid-round, because eventually these weapons are not going to be enough to keep. It's not going to be efficient enough to carry the scavenger until you run out of ammo, and then PhD flop until you get drops. At some point, you're going to have to do trade-outs with the VR11 in order to take you even further. But for round 50, it totally works. I'm going to leave a link in the description for a link to the zombie round stats calculator, which is helpful for making predictions on how many shots you need for different types of wonder weapons on any particular round. It'll help you save some ammo in the long run. Another useful tool that I used is the drop cycle tracker. Very useful for making predictions on when you're going to get a max ammo so that you can prepare for that. Getting to high rounds on any zombies map requires you to be efficient with your drops. And that's about it, so thanks for watching.